So I just got back from Fantastic Fest where I saw a total of 14 films, and the first film I actually saw was Black Phone 2. This is a new film from Scott Derrickson, C. Robert Cargill. They returned from the previous film, The Black Phone. I just realized that this is just Black Phone 2, not The Black Phone 2. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know why that was changed or anything like that. I had been calling it The Black Phone 2 for a while now. Nonetheless, let's talk about this movie, my thoughts on it, and where does it exactly rank in terms of a horror sequel. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I got a ton of movies to talk to you about from Fantastic Fest and still from TIFF I need to catch up with. So we got a ton of videos coming your way. Don't miss out on it. Let's talk about Black Phone 2. So this movie takes place about 3 or 4 years after the previous film. And of course, spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched the first film, I don't know why you are watching the review for the second one. You should definitely check out the first one of my favorite horror movies of the past 5 years. But this basically takes place years after the events of the first film, in which we see Finney does eventually kill the grabber. The grabber, of course, would take young boys, keep them in his basement, eventually torture them and just kill them. Finney was going to be his latest victim, but thanks to the Black Phone, which helped him get some tips and also some help from the other boys who were killed, he was able to get the best of the grabber, eventually killing him by strangling him, and the nightmare was over, or so they thought. In this new film, we see that the grabber has returned, and there is a mystery that Gwen, the young sister of Finney, and Finney have to come together to solve from the grabber's past that will pretty much tie everything together with them as well. And I won't get into more of the story because I think it's a story that's best to see unfold in the big screen, because I was really just loving how Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill crafted this story that really ties well with the first film and brings it all together in a very intense ending. And that's where I'll start off, because the ending to this film is one of the best climaxes I've seen in a horror movie in a while. There is something that Scott Derrickson does with the camera work here for that finale, a shot of the grabber that is just so insane, and I think is going to be one of those scenes or shots that is going to be talked about for years to come in horror movies. It was just so brilliantly done. I think that the writing here also is impeccable. A lot of this film is about trauma, and I think the way that Derrickson and Cargill really present trauma as not just this like one way to deal with trauma, because we see the character of Finney, played by Mason Thames, so brilliantly react to his trauma that he has like gone through these past couple of years in a way that is violent, a way that he has become sort of a recluse to the world because of what's happened to him, and he feels that nobody else is able to get what happened to him, or they think they do but they really don't. And you see that this is sort of showcased in his actions towards the rest of the world. He lashes out because of it, because he doesn't know how else to deal with it. Opposite to his sister Gwen here, played by Madeleine McGraw so incredibly well. By the way, Madeleine McGraw is really pushed to the forefront here in what almost would feel like she is the main character, and I really did love that, because Madeleine does an amazing job at really presenting the character of Gwen, who of course from the first film we know has all of these visions and all of these dreams that everybody's telling her to not think about them as real, or that they're just dreams and everything. So she has sort of been pushing this deeper and deeper and not being able to express herself. And here, after the events of the first film, we see her dealing with the trauma of almost losing her brother, of having lost their mom at an early age as well, and trying to just keep her composure throughout, trying to keep these dreams and visions she has sort of almost hidden, and like she can't really talk about it anymore. She has this fear of being judged or misinterpreted, and it's made her become more isolated in the world because of this, and you see it play out. So these two young children are dealing with trauma very differently, but it's because this trauma is still unresolved. And I really love what Derrickson and Cargill are getting here at with how we deal with trauma in our world and when it happens to us. You also have Ethan Hawke returning as the grabber in what I would feel is a much more demented and diabolical like presence than we've seen before from the grabber in the previous film. This is a sick, twisted individual, and now coming back from the dead, it's like it got even worse. Like he truly went to hell, came back, and is just more demonic than ever. And you really feel it through Hawke's performance. There's a lot of this performance that you don't really get to see Hawke's face because of the mask and all of that, but nonetheless, he's able to portray this character so well through his voice, through his mannerisms. And I do think Hawke is so talented to be able to do that in this movie, to make you really fear for this person that is behind this mask or this entity at this point. A lot of this film is going to really remind you of a lot of horror movies, especially Nightmare on Elm Street, due to the grabber now being able to attack through dreams, through visions and all of that. And I think that's what really adds more to this movie in a sense, in my opinion, because I don't think Derrickson and Cargill are ripping off A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think they are sort of riffing it and changing it and making it their own as well, which makes sense with the way that they've built this mythology in this world, with the way that the grabber operates, but also the way that Gwen and her visions are handled in the first film. So it makes a lot of sense for the movie. It doesn't really feel like a cheap ripoff like I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be. It feels more like an homage and a way to sort of take that idea and sort of remix it and bring it into a new generation, which is great because I can see this movie becoming such a cult favorite for many for years to come. And this is honestly shot so well. Derrickson, during the Q&A, talked about his wife helping him craft some of these shots and shoot some of the film. And I really do love that they were able to collaborate together. If you haven't seen her short from VHS, it is one of my favorite shorts in the VHS like franchise. But I think that also what makes this movie so great is that there's a lot of textures and layers to this film. It's almost like a mixed media at times because there are certain scenes that are shot like in a celluloid film look, and those scenes were some of the most terrifying things I've seen all year. The way that you hear like the film like sort of like go through the reel and then you see what's going on screen. This film is a lot darker than the first one, I'll tell you that. It definitely goes to those extremes that the first one did, and then some. It goes that extra mile, and I think that's what really adds more to the fear and the horrors happening to these young children, is you see just how brutal this person can be towards children, and that's of course the grabber. I think the cinematography here is beautiful. It is set against a wintry mix of sorts, a snowy camp, and it is just the great juxtaposition to seeing a wicked and demented hell bent on destroying these kids grabber that is just oozing with evil throughout every scene he is in. And I thought that that definitely was a great counter to this character, is this pure white snow, right? And this very dark, demented, black-hearted soul of a entity just going and rampaging throughout. It was just an amazing touch to it. Overall, Black Phone 2 is my favorite horror movie so far. I'm gonna have another rewatch just to see if it truly is, but so far I think it is the best horror movie of the year. There is just something so wicked in this movie that Derrickson and Cargill were able to pull off, and I was very skeptical about this movie when it got announced. I thought it was a quick cash grab, that it wasn't gonna be great, but I think that they truly came back to a story that needed to be told, and I'm telling you, Mason Thames, Madeleine McGraw are just amazing on a whole other level here with their performances, and it's amazing to see how much they have grown as actors and the performance they're able to pull off for this film. If you're thinking about it, I definitely would catch Black Phone 2 in theaters on the biggest screen possible. There is intense scares in this one that really got to me, but that climax, it's what it's really worth seeing on the big screen. Just a beautifully choreographed climax that I cannot stop thinking about it. I'll talk more about it when I do my spoiler video once the film does release next month, and I'm excited to talk more about it because there's so much I want to dissect from that film, and I can't wait to catch it again. Definitely do not miss out on Black Phone 2. This movie is just unreal. But let me know your thoughts, your opinions on Black Phone 2, if you enjoyed it or not, or if you're excited for it, if you haven't watched it. But make sure you subscribe and follow us for more. We have some reviews coming out from Fantastic Fest. One of my other favorite films, Bugonia, I will have a review for you out this weekend, so don't miss out on that. Also, check out our website, www.culturelixir.com, for some of the other movies we might not get to talk about on here on video. We'll probably have an article up for it. But as always, that's going to do it for me. Let's get to 50,000 subscribers. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.